Cammie's pretty well versed. Like, she knows boat stuff.
Fatality.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Welcome.
Are we doing this together?
I guess we are.
Hey, welcome back.
This is round 38 of Wake Up 3. We are your hosts, Cam.
And Molly. And we are a fighting game podcast from a couple who loves fighting games.
And as always, we're going to start things off with a mix-up. And this is one of my mix-ups. We just had 2 DLC characters that have come out for different fighting games over the last couple of days. We've got Ed in Street Fighter 6 and Peacemaker in MK1. He just came out this morning. And I'm going to list off 10 different moves, just one at a time. You tell me if it's an Ed move or a Peacemaker move.
Fresh stuff. I'll try my best.
All right, let's start with Peace Eater.
I guess I'm going to go with Peacemaker.
Yep, that is right. How about Psycho Flicker?
Ed.
Yeah. I wanted to start simple.
Okay.
Rib Crusher.
Rib Crusher. I'm going to go with Ed.
You got it.
Okay.
I
Just
thought
a boxer thing, you know.
Yeah. Just boxer things.
Yeah.
Vigilante Punch.
Peacemaker?
Dang, how are you getting these? Did you read all the
No, I
all the
didn't.
moves
I did not.
already?
I just like to guess.
Bootlicker.
I'm gonna go with. I was gonna say John Cena. I'm gonna go with Peacemaker again.
Okay, yep, you are right again. Kill Rush.
I think this is Ed.
It is Ed.
Okay.
It is Ed. Gut Shot.
That's like a 50-50 split, but I'm gonna go with Peacemaker.
You got it again.
Okay.
Dang, you're on a roll here. You are 7 for 7. Cobra Punch.
I don't know anything about Ed and snakes, but I'm gonna go with Ed.
It is Ed.
Okay. Cool.
Doorbuster.
Let's go with Peacemaker.
Got it again.
Okay.
And final one. Hitman Combination.
Peacemaker?
Nope, that one was Ed.
Oh,
So,
okay. Got
pretty
me
good
on
though.
the last one.
Pretty good. You got 9 out of 10.
Who would have thought that these 2 characters that came out at the same time could kind of have some crossover?
Right? Yeah, a lot of their moves sound like they could go either way.
Yeah.
I chose a couple of easy ones. I wanted to start kind of small and work my way up a little bit. So you did pretty solid today.
I guess I did. Thanks.
Yeah, 9 for 10.
At this point in the episodes, we like to go over our week in fighting games, which, if you caught the episode last week, we predicted all of the pool winners for Capcom Cup. I'd say there were definitely players that despite being qualified for Capcom Cup, I wasn't really that aware of, winner included. But I think as far as our winners' choices for the pools, I did pretty decent.
You did.
I think our biggest upset combined was having the birds on the board who just didn't perform.
Neither of us were right on that.
Yeah, I think I saw all of Angry Bird's fights, but I did not for some reason get to see Big Bird. I always missed his.
It was just the time of day.
Yeah.
They played at the same time each day, and
He was in like Group C, so it was one of the first to
Yeah.
go. But yeah, I was always present for Group F, always curious to see how that cookie was gonna crumble. Out of Group F in particular, I didn't know anything about Lashar.
neither did I.
And wow, he was a threat with his Chun-Li, that's for sure. I also want to mention I had Fudo as my prediction of making it out of his pool, and then he ended up being a big upsetter in the top 16, I would say, because Mena came out on losers and had to fight Fudo. That was his first fight in the top 16, and he was out 3-1.
That one was wild.
Wasn't it?
That was one of the best matches of the weekend. It was super intense, and didn't it kind of feel like Fudo was just dominating for the most part?
He was just on the money with his DJ. Man, I don't know.
He just looked good out there.
Well, we haven't really said it directly at this point, but Uma, the jury player from Taiwan, unsponsored, ended up winning the entire Capcom Cup. That's gotta be fun for you as a jury player, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Fun to see.
Definitely.
Well, Capcom Cup aside, do we have anything else to say about our week in fighting games?
I just want to say that I've been playing a lot of Tekken 8 this week, and it's all been Kuma. I've been playing a ton of Kuma online and having fun with it.
Cool.
Yeah. Have you been playing any of your characters?
I decided to continue on in my new journey with Leo, who I have dressed as Rock Howard.
It's a great outfit.
We're bringing a bit of Geese into Tekken 8 since he cannot be here.
Leo, son of Geese. And it's been fun to see you play him so far. It's been pretty hype. I'm looking forward to seeing where you can take him this week. Maybe you can get even a little bit further.
Maybe, we'll see. But yeah, it's pretty fun. Alright, so that is our weekend fighting games, and we do have what I would say is a pretty special episode today. So for round 38 here, we're going to get into an important character on Wake Up 3. This character is one of Gam's favorite characters, and one of his current mains.
It's also special because I just get to sit here this time.
That's true. So, something different. This character just won Capcom Cup, one of Cam's favorite characters, the sadistic thrill seeker herself, Han Juri. Cam, I'm sure it's felt like ages waiting to do a Juri episode.
Yeah, I've wanted to do one for a bit. I feel like I always knew that we would eventually cover Juri, just because I think she's cool.
Well, it wasn't just ages for us to get to a Juri episode. It was also ages at Capcom Development to get Juri out the door. So yes, Juri was always in the works ever since Street Fighter 2 came out, believe it or not. Street Fighter 2 was positively received in Korea, and that got Capcom thinking, we need to make a Korean character. We want to represent in this market where the game is blowing up.
Makes sense to me.
And so they got to work, and they knew that they wanted to make a female Korean character. However, in 1991, the stars were not aligned yet. I think this is up in the air. This is a topic of debate on whether this is 100% factual or not, or just an excuse from Capcom as to why it took them so long. But in the 90s, and I don't know how much this is a thing now, too, but the Korean government had pretty strict regulations on the Japanese language and culture and how they could portray Koreans or anything Korean.
Okay, interesting.
So you don't want a country to take and represent your country with this femme fatale, flirty, kind of dirty bad girl.
You're telling me you don't want Juri to represent your country?
I mean, I do. But I think in the climate of, the 90s, and it just wasn't going to happen then. And that's why we had to wait.
I got you.
That's just my theory, though. Let me know what you think. Once again, this is not anything set in stone. But all that aside, we did have to keep waiting and waiting. Nearly 2 decades for Juri to show up on the scene of Street Fighter. As you can imagine, through 19 years in the making, Juri was drawn up and drafted in hundreds of ways, including but not limited to an overweight version and one that used mixed martial arts instead of her signature taekwondo.
Okay.
But she was always destined to be, in the words of design director Kami, an evil, sexy character. Amongst her time in the drafts, there was a proposal for her to be part of a tragic love story. But this was swiftly shot down by Yoshinori Ono, reasoning that there's no way, we can't have her be this, good girl.
Yeah.
She should definitely be a really evil chick. They ended up going with this strong, unusual personality that is divisive. So you're either going to love Juri or you're going to hate her. We here at Wake Up 3 love. So let's get into more Juri. Now I'm just going to go over her timeline and being in existence and all of the things that she's been in thus far. Obviously, we start off with Street Fighter 2 in 1991, where the idea for Juri begins. And then we wait 19 years till 2010 when Super Street Fighter 4 comes out. Her target audience, the Koreans though, actually disliked Juri. And it's because they thought she looked too much like Chun-Li and had moves that were too similar. So,
interesting.
Same year, 2010, she basically stars in the Super Street Fighter 4 OVA. It basically stars Juri, and it is so much about her that it has gained the unofficial title from fans of the Super Street Fighter 4 Juri OVA.
Sounds like something I need to check out.
Definitely. We will get into more details on that. So yes, this was released for Xbox in 2010 as Collector's Edition DLC. And then the US didn't get a release until 2012. So 2 years later, you could see this in the US as part of the 25th Anniversary Collector's Set. By 2012 as well, Juri appears in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which was fun to read about, coming from just doing a lot of Tekken. It was kind of crazy to read about Juri beating up Ling Xiaoyu and Bison taking over the Mishima Zaibatsu.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Fun fact there that I do want to mention in relation to her outfits. So Juri's swap costume is Zafina's outfit from Tekken 6.
It's interesting. Another character I like.
Yeah, I wanted to point that out because you also like Zafina. Fun little synchronicity there. And then Elisa's swap costume is a torn, altered version of Juri's costume.
I'll have to check that out. I'm curious as to how that would look.
Right, so it's living up to the name of Street Fighter Cross Tekken, for sure. They're crossing costumes, crossing borders. Also in 2012, Juri shows up in another game, another cross game, Project Cross Zone. She actually shows up in 2 of these. She shows up in the follow-up in 2015. Now these are like crossover games that contain characters from Capcom, Bandai, and Sega, and they're these tactical RPGs.
Okay.
For the 3DS.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with these games.
Yeah, same. I was never a handheld gamer. And looking up these, particularly the sequel, the second one, it's pretty pricey. I don't know, once again, I'm not familiar with how much 3DS games are going for, but seems to be a valuable item at this time.
How much are we looking at?
It's like over 100.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
for the second one.
Wow.
Then, of course, we get to 2016. Street Fighter V comes out, and Juri returns as, once again, DLC, but they don't want to wait too long because Juri's popular, so they bring her out Season 1, 5th character DLC.
Season 1 again.
Yep. Then we get to 2018, where Juri shows up in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, another crossover game, of course. And then 2023 with Street Fighter 6 base roster, one of the first characters to be announced for Street Fighter 6. And in that same time frame, Juri gets her own weekly webcomic called You've Got This Juri. So that has been coming out every week since Street Fighter 6 has been around.
That's a really fun series, by the
It
way.
is,
I don't want to let that slide right by.
She is also in the Udon comics, the Udon Street Fighter comics, here and there. There are many of those. As well as Street Fighter vs. Darkstalkers. She makes a cameo appearance in this comic crossover. And she's also in a comic called Shadowverse, which is a Cygames comic where she appears as one of the leaders for the classes alongside M. Bison, Ryu, Chun-Li, Karin, Vega, and Cammy. So
I don't know anything about this one.
yeah. I don't know anything about that either. So what's interesting that she's among the cast of special appearances to cross over there.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said, she was also in Smash Bros. That's kind of interesting. I know she wasn't playable there. I'm not super familiar with Smash Bros. I just know that she was the only non-sprite based character to make it into the game at all from Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Which is notable on its own.
Mm-hmm.
People love Juri.
So back to You've Got This Juri. Here are some fun facts about this little weekly series. Nakayama has a panel of one of the chapters in his office. So far, Bison is the only non-Street Fighter 6 character to appear in this comic series. I'm sure you'll understand why once we get into more about Juri here. Taking Over is the only comic where Juri doesn't appear since Honda took her place while she's busy playing Street Fighter 6. Oh, that was fun.
I like that. That's fun.
Some of the comics can be viewed on the Battle Hub's big screen fully voiced, which I thought was a fun thing to note. I did not know that.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. I'll have to check that out because I've never seen that either.
And then finally, Juri-chan. Juri's version of the Blanca-chan toy has gained a positive reception among fans, which makes sense. It sounds very cute.
It's super cute. Yeah, it's in like one issue of, or I guess one of the You've Got This Juri comics, and it's a fun one.
Yeah. So, yeah, once again, these are one-shot comics that come out once a week, and they are released in English, Japanese, and Chinese. No Korean still. I don't know if the Korean fan base is still not loving Juri after all this time.
Maybe they didn't latch on. I wonder.
Yeah. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting to note. So let's get into more about Juri. So Juri enters the world of Street Fighter as a member of S.I.N, which is, an anti-Bison organization.
S.I.N.
And she's widely regarded, once again, as a twisted mirror of Chun-Li, but their similarities go beyond the buns and the spiked bangles. Both characters seek revenge in their own ways. We know that Chun-Li errs on the side of justice. She doesn't want anybody to get hurt in her quest for revenge, but Juri, on the other hand, doesn't really care about that and will do anything, whatever it takes, and beyond to get her revenge.
Yeah, she's a little bit of a delinquent.
But yes, they both seek this revenge on M. Bison, as he is responsible for the death of their parents. So Juri's backstory, we're going to get into now. Juri had a supportive and loving upbringing with both her parents present. She was both intelligent, excelling in school studies, and skilled, sharpening her taekwondo skills at the suggestion of her father. She was referred to then as beautiful genius, but by age 15, Juri is forced out of her picture-perfect childhood due to the nature of her father's profession, which was prosecuting organized crime operations. You can imagine what's coming next. The family's car is attacked by the Shadowloo. And this part kind of differs between Street Fighter 4 and what is detailed in the comics from Udon. And it's kind of just like how her parents died and how Juri gets injured in this scene. But in one telling, a bullet grazes her left eye.
That sounds insane to me.
Yes.
That sounds crazy.
So, either way, her left eye gets destroyed in this ordeal, and she is left comatose for the next several days, waking to find her world shattered, learning both parents had been kidnapped and murdered by M. Bison. So,
no wonder she hates this guy.
Drama. So now we can get into Juri's endings / stories because, gotta have those story details too.
Yeah, for sure.
So her first ending, of course, is in Super Street Fighter 4, and she's seen leering over a beaten down Seth. Seth is her boss at S.I.N, and he's just been beaten up by M. Bison.
Okay.
Fighting to breathe, he asks Juri if she is satisfied and reveals to her that he knew she would betray him all along. Juri seems mildly surprised at first, but quickly laughs it off. You're giving yourself way too much credit. Defeating you was nothing but an added bonus. I just wanted to pit you idiots against each other while I took over. And then she sighs and says, "You're nothing but a spare body, a change of clothes in Bison's wardrobe. Seth then shakily reaches up to her with one arm, shouting, "You'll pay." Juri casually sends one low kick to the gut, steps and raises her toes to the sky, swiftly bringing her heel down in a skull-crushing blow.
Damn.
She takes a step back as Seth's body shakes on the ground before her. She then utters her venomous send-off to Seth. "Good night, sweet prince."
Love it. I love that. That's great.
"Rest in peace." She kind of says rest in peace in like a taunting way.
I can picture it.
She then laughs maliciously and delivers one final kick. As she turns away from the scene, she looks over her shoulder directly at the camera and says, "Wow, guess I better find a new hobby." And her purple feng shui eye lights up as the scene fades.
Cool. So right off the bat, they nailed her personality and her attitude.
Yeah, and the Juri that we meet is just on this revenge-seeking route. She wants S.I.N destroyed, and as I said, she's going by any means necessary.
Right.
She works alongside Seth and S.I.N, but she's really just doing it for her own benefit. She doesn't actually want to fulfill any of the orders that Seth has given her for the reasons that he has given her them.
Right, yeah.
So
it's just a means to get closer. Yeah,
definitely.
I got you. It's interesting. I didn't know that she had anything to do with Seth, but Seth is the android body that was actually in 5 as a lady, and it seems like he's in that ruined lab that came with Ed that just came out this week.
Oh.
Because there are some spare bodies floating in some test tubes, like giant test chamber tubes.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely looks like Seth is kind of in there. Like there's another Seth body, I guess. And you can also see M. Bison's hat on that chair right in the middle of the room. So I'm wondering if, maybe they'll come back. Maybe it'll be like Super Seth or Bison Seth, or I don't know what they would call it, but you know what I mean. Like I think I'm wondering if it's gonna be M. Bison's consciousness inside of Seth's body with like a mixture of the two movesets.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, that'd be wild. That'd be pretty cool.
So moving on to the Super Street Fighter 4 OVA. So once again, this isn't something that you could readily view at its immediate release unless you were in that specific region, unless you were an Xbox player. But I do want to talk about this because it's really cool. And I should also say that her ending is basically done in the same exact style as this OVA. The animation, it's an animation and it looks the same. She looks the same. So this OVA takes place Street Fighter 4 tournament. So before all of the events of the story and before her ending and all that.
Okay.
And it's basically like a little movie. It is a movie. It basically follows Juri through getting this new eye. First off, she gets this eye installed at S.I.N. This eye will enhance her abilities that she has. So she's feeling like she wants to try it out. And what better place to do that than an amusement park, right, Juri? So she's out at this amusement park, and at first she's just looking for ex-S.I.N personnel to beat up.
Okay.
But Juri doesn't really take into account the civilians in the area and doesn't really care either if they get hurt. So, of course, a little team of Chun-Li, Cammy, and Guile show up, and Guile's pretty pissed. He's like, why haven't you contacted any special forces to come in here? Like, there are civilians in there. So Chun-Li,
just like,
yeah, they're like, oh, no. Chun-Li bravely takes on the task herself, goes in there, finds Juri, they meet up. She attempts to arrest Juri. So Chun-Li's trying to constantly, put a stop to Juri's chaos. But this does not work. Juri uses her feng shui eye to be able to see all the stats on the people that she encounters.
That's fun.
And she sees that Chun-Li's pretty strong. Maybe the strongest woman in the world. So she's like, yeah, let's fight. Like, this should be fun. And she obviously dominates Chun-Li, and Chun-Li ends up being hospitalized for the rest of the movie.
Damn. Do you get to see this fight scene?
You do.
Cool. I'm gonna have to check this movie out.
It's good, yeah. And I do want to note that a fun little trivia fact is that once Chun-Li is hospitalized, when you first see her again in the bed, she is seen playing Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. So fun little
That's cute.
Easter egg.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, this story basically just follows Juri to end up capturing the dolls. So these are Bison's special guards that are supposed to be, really strong. Well, Juri gets there and she's just having a heyday. It's easy for her.
Just having a blast.
She taunts them and says, this is it. These are his, top guards. You guys suck. So she takes them out easily, and she actually she takes all the bodies in a plane, and she has the dolls.
She was dumping them out over the ocean? Or?
No, she's taking them with her because she wants to deliver them to Seth.
Okay.
She's working on pitting
Gotcha.
Bison
okay.
again.
She's already got her plans in motion.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
She thought, what is she doing taking these people?
Now, she does end up using one of the bodies on beds Cammy ends up on the plane with her, and they're in the sky, and they have this whole altercation. They don't actually fight on the plane, but they're fighting with words. And Juri ends up shoving one of these gurneys at Cammy, and they fly out of the plane together into a snowbank down below. So they're okay, but yeah, pretty brutal. We do get to see from the beginning of Juri's appearances just how brutal she is, in particular in her fight against Guile, which happens before the Cammy incident. She's pretty tame, she's just kind of having fun with it at first. But you'll notice when Guile throws out a super strong move that pushes her back, she gets really mad. This pushes her too far, and she just snaps on Guile and says, that's it, you're done, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Jeez. So
she has this really hot streak of you push my buttons and there's no turning back. It's over for you. I just wanted to mention that, we get a glimpse of how brutal she is and how she can get pushed beyond her bounds and go kind of nuts.
Yeah, and how she kills Guile.
Guile survives. He's not hospitalized like Chun-Li. I think that's all I wanted to mention about the OVA though, but it's very, very good and you should definitely check it out. It's good. Now moving on to Street Fighter V, her next canon appearance. So as I mentioned, she was Season 1 DLC, the 5th character to be released. And in the endings for this game, I don't know if this is across the board, but for Juri, it was just a little panel. So it wasn't like Street Fighter 4 with a full-on production, just a panel. And it shows her playing with the dolls. She has woken up the dolls and she's play fighting against them. Juri confirms to herself that she will never become someone's doll. And that's her Street Fighter V ending. But to give you a bit more for this Street Fighter V appearance. So in the story, we talked a bit about Juri and Chun-Li, but Juri kind of has a relationship with Cammy as well. She saves Cammy and Capra despite disliking Cammy. They kind of mutually don't like each other.
Okay.
There. She actually fights off Vega for them, and then helps them again in the final showdown against Shadaloo, beating up Vega again. So there's this beef with Vega for sure. She does not like this guy.
Makes sense.
And she's willing to beat him up for these other ladies that we also thought she didn't like, but she's helping them. Now...
Makes sense. This guy sucks.
Yeah. She ends up I would say bonding with Cammy then, because after they escape, after this is all said and done, they're getting out of there on a boat. And apparently at sea, there's a storm so powerful that not even Juri's eye, special eye can help save them. And it's noted that DeCapra is napping somehow throughout this whole ordeal. So it's just Juri and Cammy working together to keep the ship afloat. And she notes that Cammy's pretty well versed. Like, she knows boat stuff.
Weird. What is this? What is
I don't know, but she knows about the boat. But, you know, she was still having a hard time, and she had to rely on Juri, and Juri had to rely on her. Okay. And they made it through. And Juri's only grievance throughout the whole process was that, you know, it's too bad that DeCapra was sleeping, because it would have been really fun for her to experience that nightmare with us.
That's
Devious Juri.
That's ridiculous.
I also wanted to note that throughout the course of the Street Fighter V story, so we know in Street Fighter 4, she gets her eye installed. And she has this eye at the beginning of Street Fighter V when she is attempting to confront Bison, but he gets the upper hand in this altercation and ends up ripping her eye out.
Damn.
So she's once again left without an eye, but she goes to an abandoned S.I.N. lab and finds another Feng Shui eye.
She just put it in herself, or?
That was not mentioned, so I can only assume. I can only assume that she did.
I guess...
It's abandoned, so there shouldn't be anyone there to help you.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess they did say she was pretty smart in her upbringing.
That's true,
so
that's true.
Just assume that carried over.
Yeah. So that's kind of Street Fighter V. There's more to the story. Oh, I do want to mention that in terms of her being her brutal self, that does come into play in the Street Fighter V story when she meets Rashid, of all people. She really wants to fight Rashid, and he's not the only one there. There's a group of people. But she sees Rashid, and she wants to fight him, and he says, no, I don't want to do that.
I think I get it. Not like that. Not like I would want to fight Rashid, but I think I get why Juri would.
Okay.
She sees him and she's like, this guy is having too much fun, and I can't allow that. You know what I mean? Like, she just wants to put an end to his fun because it's just like a little pest sort of thing.
Right. Well, his refusal really agitates her once again, similar to her interaction with Guile, where she freaks out. She does the same thing to Rashid and lashes out and says, if you're not going to fight me, I'm going to kill you. Like, that's that.
That's her go-to.
Yeah. She just takes it to an extreme. So I just wanted to note that again. That comes back into play. And then we get to Street Fighter 6. Now, at the end of Street Fighter 5, Bison has been killed by Ryu.
Damn, Ryu.
So... Before we get into Street Fighter 6 Juri, like I said, Bison's gone, so that's her big motivator in everything that she's been doing for the past 10 years, because Juri is 25 in Street Fighter 4. It's gone. That's done. What do you do now? So I want to talk about, before we get into Street Fighter 6, a character that was in Street Fighter 5, a character that can see things that others cannot. This is Manat. She's something of a fortune teller. So, at times, Juri appears to be brooding and depressed. Makes sense, right? With what she's been through.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Manat claimed she felt a sense of loneliness from Juri, implying all her wiles and cruelty is just a cover for how broken she is on the inside. However, despite her vengeful and ruthless behavior, she still has some vague sense of honor. During her mission in Super Street Fighter 4 OVA, she left a young boy alive despite many civilians being caught in the crossfire. So this was during the scene at the amusement park where Chun-Li shows up to fight Juri. There's this young boy crying over his dead mother. That's crazy. Juri kind of just, she ignores, but you can kind of tell that hearing the cries, she's reliving her own trauma. Juri also appears to detest fighting children, so while Juri can be malicious, she doesn't fight with lethal intent. Most of the time. According to her win quote against Blanca in Street Fighter V, she is against animal cruelty. So she's got a soft spot for, I guess you could say, all the right things. She doesn't want to fight kids. She doesn't want to hurt animals. That's good. Her eye, her feng shui engine, is represented by the yin-yang symbol, which is a reference to light and darkness.
Right.
Now, does this influence her at all?
I think it's just Juri. I feel like the feng shui engine just amps what she is, but I'm not a lore writer. I don't know. I could be wrong.
But yeah, that's what Manat had to say about what Juri's like on the inside that we maybe don't get to see. And moving into Street Fighter 6, Juri is without purpose. Bison is dead. So I want to read off a quote from the art director of Street Fighter 6, Kaname Fujioka. So the quote is, "This time around, I had the thought of, what is her personality when she's not taking on these odd jobs? And what does she do during her spare time? It led to this person who maybe doesn't live the most healthy lifestyle, who's just always on her smartphone, and she takes pictures of enemies she defeats and shares that on social media. Eating a lot of junk food and candy, and probably not the most sociable person. We thought that maybe she would have created a bunch of bad habits, where she just uses her foot whichever way she wants and picks up stuff."
That's a ridiculous quote.
It is.
And picks up stuff.
So I had to include that for sure.
That's a great ending of that quote. I didn't see it going that way.
So this kind of leads us into Juri in Street Fighter 6. Her goal is gone. It's dead. Now, in Street Fighter 6, Juri's prologue shows her speeding around on her motorcycle as she talks about wanting to kill Bison, his recent death, and her unchanged feelings of rage. So, he's dead, but she still feels this full force. Juri is very angry. She spent all her time, used all her resources, and more, she says, to take down Bison herself. And now that he's dead, she is left with this intense anger. Chun-Li steps on the scene, trying to tell Juri that as a victim of Bison, there's still time for her to atone of her crimes. Juri, of course, brushes this off, telling Chun-Li, "I forgot how good you were at putting me to sleep. I ain't atoning for squat." But then, Juri is seen reflecting on Chun-Li's words. By herself, of course. She sighs to herself, stating, "Man, I hate her so freaking much." She's also seen in Street Fighter 6 reminiscing about Cammy. She reminisces fondly of their good times. She calls them good times.
Yeah, the time we were on a sinking boat together.
And she says that she always thinks of Cammy whenever she's in London.
Interesting.
So
I guess I probably would too if I went to London.
Sounding pretty sentimental towards Cammy. So let's talk more about Juri. Juri's birthday is January 1st. And as I said, she is 25 when we first meet her in Super Street Fighter 4. She likes spicy food, spiders, and motorcycles. This list of likes was briefly preceded by another list of likes containing one slight variant. It is because of this previous list that Juri could be Capcom's first openly bisexual character, and that list was spicy food, spiders, and big breasts.
Okay. Interesting.
But, so this was quickly changed. But was this actually like a secret dev message? Because Juri's bust measurement was also changed, going up from 75 centimeters to 83 centimeters. So was it just like this dev language note where it's like, hey, we want her bust size to go up. She likes big boobs.
So maybe it was just a note for like the insider team, and it somehow ended up on her likes instead of that.
Just a theory to put out there. I don't know. But yes, wow. that is part of Juri's history. Her lore is that briefly her list of likes included big breasts. So yes, she likes spiders and is also nicknamed the Spider due to her leg-focused movement, as well as her wardrobe. So we know in her default outfit, she kind of has this top that has these black legs, if you will, 8 of them, that connect around her back. And this is done again, re-envisioned in Street Fighter 6 in a slightly different way, but it's got the same elements.
I feel like all three of her default outfits are pretty cool looking. I never played Juri in Street Fighter 4 or 5, really. I don't think I ever touched her in 5, and we straight up haven't played 4 together.
Right.
Or just in general. But yeah, I think all three of them are cool. If they ever bring back like a retro, I put that in air quotes. If they bring back a retro Street Fighter 4 outfit for Juri, I would be all in. I think it's a cool looking outfit. So
yeah,
I feel like they really haven't missed with her yet.
In addition to all of these spider elements to Juri, the spider, the Chinese character for spider is also literally part of her name when written in Hanja. Juri dislikes... Can you guess?
Chun-Li.
No.
Oh.
Juri dislikes rules, boring people / buzzkills, and of course, M. Bison.
That one makes sense.
That's the one character that makes the list.
That checks out.
Juri also has special skills outside of her combat. She has a photographic memory and never forgets a route she's taken.
Wow.
Pretty useful. She won't get lost.
Yeah, true.
Her alignment is chaotic neutral, as I'm sure you could guess.
Okay.
And as far as other character relationships go, Juri doesn't technically have friends. She's too warlike to maintain friendship. But she does seem to have some interesting bonds, as we've kind of already discussed. She has this, like, I guess you could say rivalry with Chun-Li, but it's...
She doesn't want to kill her.
It's almost like she knows, you know, she knows inside, like, Chun-Li's just trying to help.
Yeah.
Same thing with Cammy. You know, they dislike each other at first, but turns out maybe they work okay together. Another bond that she reveals in Street Fighter 6 is a tight bond with Sea Viper. They pulled elaborate stunts on the organizations they both wanted to infiltrate, pretending to be against each other in their mutual pursuit of money and destruction.
Cool.
So they were kind of swindled together. One character aside from M. Bison that she seems to detest, as I have briefly mentioned thus far, is Vega. So they first meet in Street Fighter 4, and she sees him as a pervert due to his obsession with beauty. Vega, though, is genuinely attracted to Juri and calls her the personification of evil beauty itself. That's his Street Fighter 4 win quote against her.
I think he just wants everything to be like beautiful and pristine and like controlled. And that is not Juri.
No. No, not gonna happen there.
That is not Juri.
Another thing to note in Street Fighter 6 is Juri's game over cutscene actually breaks the fourth wall by implying that Juri is aware that the player is watching her the whole time, and the animation depicts exhausted Juri with camera panning out before Juri points at the camera and angrily yells, "The hell are you looking at?"
That's fun. I like that.
Juri is the only character to use a 4-button kick system. Her Fierce Punch button is substituted as another roundhouse kick, so I'm sure that's no surprise to you.
Right, yeah.
All kicks all day.
That was something that I really liked about her when I figured it out. I thought like, oh, her heavy punch is just more kicks. Cool.
Her Shikusen has follow-up moves called Second Impact and Third Strike.
Wonder where those came from.
Yeah. I think that was pretty much all of the like little extra things I wanted to say about her. Aside from something that I did not find in my research, but knew because of Cam, actually, is a 1994 or 5 film.
I think it's 93.
A 1993 film that is Chinese called Future Cops. In this movie, there's a lot of, you know, bootleg type Street Fighter characters. So characters where they're not going to say this is Chun-Li, but it's Chun-Li,
right,
etc.
Bison's in it. I'm pretty sure Boxer is in it.
And there is, which is interesting to note because it is pre-Juri existence,
right,
a character that is basically Juri. There's one scene in particular where she does this taunt towards her opponent that they could literally just animate Juri doing that and it would feel spot on. The hair, the taunt, yeah, it's
Yeah, she's got the little spiky hair, and she kind of just waves at the person from above and then does like a little butt shake. And yeah, you could definitely see Juri doing that in 6.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to share that clip at some point during the week because I think it's really cool that it came out that long ago and that could just straight up be Juri.
Mm-hmm. It makes you wonder, I mean, that could have easily been a point of reference for designing Juri because
Yeah, absolutely.
it seems just like her, outfit aside, but,
Yeah,
you know. So, yes, that is called Future Cops, and that isn't mentioned anywhere in Juri's, you know, material that I looked through online, but I feel like it's the most direct reference that I've seen. But yeah, that is the spider herself, Juri Han.
Sweet.
Where did she go from here?
She's been in a lot of different media at this point, and I know that they're doing another live-action Street Fighter movie at some point in the near future. It's probably very, very early in the works, but I wonder if Juri will be in it, or if it'll be more of like an early Street Fighter origin kind of thing.
Yeah, I think they could just make it about Juri again.
Yeah, they should. They should.
Might as well.
They should.
I just want to end by saying that I did watch most of that OVA piece and was very, very impressed. And at first when I was watching it, I didn't have all of the background details on it, knowing like why it was made, how it was first presented, etc. So I was just watching it thinking like, is this like, do you just watch this in the game? Like, this seems crazy because it's really good. So definitely check that out if you have not seen it. The Super Street Fighter 4 Juri OVA. Highly recommend. I'll be watching that with Cam to see how he likes it for sure.
Yeah.
So,
you've piqued my interest with that. I want to see it for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, please do wish Cam a happy birthday. And we will see you next week with our thoughts on Peacemaker and Ed.
Yep. We will be talking about both of them in a little more detail.
Mm-hmm. We'll see you then for that.
Bye.
Happy birthday, Cam. I can't swim. Where's Cammy?
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Wake Up 3. You can follow along on Twitter at Wakeup3FGC or on YouTube and Spotify at Wakeup3. I'm your host Cam, and you can find me at Big Ruck Online on all social media.
And I'm your host Molly, and you can find me on Twitter at Concut, that's KAHNKUT, or on PlayStation, that's Jan Michaels.
This is Wake Up 3 signing off.
Bye. Wow. Guess sorry.
That's it?
Wow.